All right, we're having a good time here. Former City Council Speaker and mayoral hopeful Christine Quinn. Now, you're going from Harvard.
Yes, very fancy.
And you'll be working with the governor.
Yes.
First off, for those who have a very interesting opinion, and we all do from different dealings with the governor, what's your take on how he's either misunderstood and also, do you have any trepidation getting into this?
You know, I've always had a great working relationship with Andrew Cuomo from when he was the HUD secretary is when I first kind of interacted with him. So this New Yorker's the HUD secretary. I'm recently elected to the city council and I have some housing issues. So I just start calling the HUD secretary like a wacko. What council? But I just keep calling. And I don't know, you know, maybe he was thinking of coming back and running for office. Maybe he was just like, the secretary was like, enough with this crazy lady calling me. Because they'd be like, where's in a meeting? I was like, oh, I'll hold. Like, who does that? So we worked together a bunch when he was HUD secretary and worked together then on Al Gore's presidential campaign. So I've had nothing but terrific interactions with him.
What are you going to do with him now?
I'm going to be a special advisor. So as I jokingly say, I'm going to advise in a very special way on very special things.
Super special.
Super special. But I'm going to work on number of pieces of legislation that I really want to see get passed. So the Women's Equality Act, a statewide piece of legislation which would deal with the real scourge of rape and sexual assault on college campuses.
On that subject, we've had Senator Gillibrand, also Senator Blumenthal, been working on this.
Very much in federal level.
Right, but for me, there's still college campuses where the accuser has to confront the alleged perpetrator. Yep. And it seems medieval to me.
Do you know one of the colleges in New York, I learned this from the students that I've been working with, the punishment, if you were found guilty in this college process of a sexual assault.
A letter on your file.
You would have to write a reflective essay about what you did and then it was put in your file. I mean, ridiculous. So we, and Senator Gillibrand, Senator Blumenthal, others are working really hard on the federal level, but stuff is stuck in Washington. So I don't want these young women and men.
And you think we can get stuff done?
I do. We've already done it at SUNY. That's 500,000 students, and I think we're going to get this bill passed. I also believe we can get the transgender civil rights bill passed. We have to find a way to get the DREAM Act passed. We're having, you know, countless terrific young people lost from their educational opportunities because their parents are not documented.
Well, that was going to be in the budget, and then it didn't get in the budget.
Well,
so
things got a little wacky in Albany before, you know, some things occurred.
Shocker.
Yeah.
I know you had something.
Well, I was curious if part of your special responsibilities were going to be in any way working on the relationship between the mayor of New York and the governor of New York, which we've seen play out in the press more than a few times.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm going to focus more on what I need to do, whatever that is. I'll work with anybody to get these pieces of legislation and a few other ones
try, though,
passed.
Andrew. That was pretty good.
Yeah,
well done. Oh, speaking of the two,
I'm not
I'm
sure
going
that
to
would
take
be
a
the
shot
best
this
choice, though. If you really wanted to make things better, I'm not sure you'd go to like, you know, his former opponent. But you know,
but
whatever.
Can you explain this one? Because now you get to be with media here, and so you got to go back and forth. How does the governor of New York, within moments after the former first lady and the senator of New York and the secretary of state announced that she's running for office, Governor Cuomo endorses her, and Bill de Blasio used to work for her, says, I'm going to have to think about this one, like he's the national, you know, chief of the progressive movement. Explain that one to me.
I don't understand, honestly.
Because for a Catholic guy, I'll even say it chutzpah just to bother him with this, but that's exactly what it is. Yes.
Look, I don't understand how any New Yorker, honestly, particularly any progressive Democrat New Yorker, who's ever worked with the secretary didn't endorse her right away. I mean, I was lucky enough
to work for her. Forget about even work with her. Yeah, I mean.
Right. I mean, look, no one really worked harder after 9/11 than she did to make sure that the first responders and the few survivors that there were got what they needed, and she kept fighting for New York doggedly to make sure that happened. She's one of the best Secretary of States in the history of our country. She took women's issues and again put them front and center on the international stage just this week. It's the anniversary of those girls who were abducted, who we bring back our girls, they haven't come back. I mean, we need people with that kind of vision in the White House. I mean, today she spoke out urging the Supreme Court of the United States to do the right thing on marriage equality. There's a clear choice here.
They're giving me a wrap in it, but I want to ask you a question. Do you look on that subject, what we saw in Indiana with religious freedom and the blowback that happened, to say look where we are right now, that there's such velocity in terms of equal rights in this issue? Or do you look at other states who are actively trying to put this in to legally be able to discriminate against gays? How do you look at how this issue is right now? Do we make a mistake saying, hey, it's taking care of itself, or no?
It is not. It isn't. Look, we are very soon going to have, I believe, an amazing victory at the Supreme Court of the United States. That's great, and I'm profoundly
On same-sex
grateful.
marriage.
Yes. After that goes into effect, we'll have states where you can get married on Saturday as an LGBT person and fired on Monday because you got married on Saturday. Because many of the states in this union and the federal government do not have LGBT civil rights protections. So I'm grateful for our victories, but I'm not satisfied. And the reality is real out there. We're seeing children thrown out of their homes in New York, sleeping on the street. Transgender children killing themselves because of the bullying and the discrimination they fear. So let's not confuse progress with victory. We've had great progress. I'm married. I couldn't be happier. It was an amazing, best day of my life. But that's not victory, and that's not victory for everybody everywhere.
Well, you definitely got to come back here.
All right.
Andrew and
Thank you.
I don't know how to segue to this thing, but if anybody likes hockey, you know the playoffs start tonight here.
Excuse me one second.
And the Islanders will be playing the Capitals, good against evil. Huge Islander fan. I don't understand how my friend here is a Capitals fan. Yes.
I was a kid growing up outside Washington. Since the Carter administration, I've been rooting for the Capitals. Tonight, some 30 minutes before Game 1, we have a small wager that's going over the series.
Now, if the Caps eliminate the Islanders, extremely unlikely. They usually choke this time of year. Andrew will read a short piece that I will write about the Islanders right here on RFL, and I will make it as painful as possible.
And similarly, if the Islanders beat my Capitals, Rich will read an ode to Alex Ovechkin or something painfully similar for him.
Yes, but in the meantime, please bear with us if a little smack talking makes it on the air. Hopefully, it goes the full run.
May the
Good
best
luck
team
to
win.
you. Actually, no, I hope you lose terribly.
I agree.
I'm
I
going to watch the
agree.
game right now.
Thank you very much. All right, when we come back here, we're going to get into some legal issues. Bring the panel in. A reserve sheriff's deputy mistakenly kills a suspect while responding to a sting operation in Oklahoma. As bad as it was, confusing a taser for a gun, he's a 73-year-old volunteer who's a big donor. And apparently, this is legal? What was he doing responding to such a tense situation like this? Does this happen more than we think?